Hello, welcome to today's class. Today's class again is on shared memory programming using threads. And in today's class, we will talk about thread implementation and condition variables. Regarding thread implementation, there are three different ways in which threads may be implemented. One is user level threads, the other one is kernel level threads, and the third one is lightweight processes. Here is a figure showing how explaining what user level threads are. So in this diagram you can see that we have two processes, and process 1 have 3 threads and process 2 have 4 threads, and the kernel it has knowledge only about process. It have no knowledge about the threads neither within the process. So the operating system only schedules the processes. So it may schedule process 1, and once its time is up, when a timer interrupt comes, the kernel may schedule the next process. So in case of user level threads, since the kernel have no knowledge about the threads, the kernel do not schedule the individual threads. In that case, how will these threads be scheduled? For example, if process 1 is scheduled by the operating system and thread number 1 is running, how will thread number 2 get a chance to execute? And the scheduling of the threads is actually handled by a thread management module. So it is the task of the thread management module to schedule the individual threads. Now, since the timer interrupt is received only by the operating system, how will the thread management module switch from one thread to the other? And the switch from one thread to the other takes place only when the executing thread relinquishes the control. If the executing thread do not relinquish the control, that particular thread will keep on executing and the other threads will get starved. So only when the currently executing thread relinquishes the control, the thread management module will be able to schedule the other threads. And how will the executing thread relinquish control? That will happen if the executing thread calls the sleep function or some input output functions, because the sleep function and the input output functions are redefined to invoke the thread management module. And when the current thread wants to sleep or wants to perform IO operations, the thread management module will schedule the other threads. So the important point here is if the currently executing thread do not relinquish control, the other threads will not get a chance to execute. Now in case of kernel level threads, again this diagram tries to explain it. Again we have two processes and each process have threads within them. But now in case of kernel level threads, the operating system has knowledge not only about the processes but also about the individual threads. So in case of kernel level threads, the operating system itself will schedule the individual threads. So the problem that we saw in case of user level threads, where some threads may get starved because the other thread do not relinquish control, such case will not happen in case of kernel level threads, because the operating system will give some amount of time to one thread, and when the timer interrupt comes, the next thread will be scheduled, and all the threads will eventually get a chance to execute. Next is lightweight processes, LWP. So LWP are introduced as a layer between threads and processes, and LWP are known to the operating system and are scheduled by the operating system. But now each LWP may consist of one or more threads. Since the operating system knows only about LWP and not about the individual threads, we are again at a situation like the user level threads, where the individual threads has to be scheduled by a user level scheduler, like the thread management module we saw in case of user level threads. So the individual threads within the LWP has to be scheduled. They will not be scheduled by the kernel, but it has to be scheduled by user level scheduler. But now the main point is, when we are creating a new thread, we can specify whether we want to create a new LWP or not. So if we want a new LWP to be created and the thread to be associated with it, it's possible to do that. In that case, that LWP will have only one thread at that point of time. So these are the three different ways in which your threads may be implemented in the system, and you need to have the knowledge about how exactly the threads are implemented in the system that you are using. Different systems may use different methods of implementing the threads, and that can actually, if we are not aware of how the threads are implemented, it may actually cause problem for us, as shown in this example. So in this example, in the main thread, we are creating a new thread, and the new thread will execute procedure 1 subroutine, and then the main thread executes this code, whereas thread 1 executes procedure 1. And if you look at the main thread, it is executing a while loop where it is continuously checking whether some variable v1 is equal to 0 or not. And this while loop don't have a body, so main thread will keep on executing this while loop as long as v1 is 0, and v1 will be set to 1 by thread 1. But now, if your threads are implemented as user level threads, this may cause your system to hang, because none of the threads will be able to make progress, and that will happen in case of user level threads and not in case of kernel level threads. So what would be the problem if threads are implemented as user level threads? As you can see, this while loop, as long as main thread keeps on executing this while loop, it will not relinquish the control. It is continuously executing some instructions, and thread 1 will never relinquish the control in case of user level threads. As you know, in case of user level threads, the next thread will get a chance to execute only when the currently executing thread relinquishes control by invoking sleep or some IO related functions. Now in this case, main thread is executing the while loop, and it is doing it continuously, infinitely, as long as v1 is 0, and hence it will never relinquish the control, which means thread 1 will never get a chance to execute. And since thread 1 do not get a chance to execute, v1 will never be set to 1, and hence we are in a situation where none of the threads are able to make progress. However, in case of kernel level threads, the situation will not happen, because after main thread executes for some amount of time, operating system will schedule thread 1, and once thread 1 gets the chance to execute, it will set the variable v1 to 1, and when v1 is set to 1, later on when the main thread gets back CPU time again, this time it will exit the while loop and execute the what is there after the while loop. So in case of kernel level threads, the problem will not happen, and the problem that we discussed can happen only if the threads are implemented as user level threads. So it is important to know how the threads are implemented in the system. Next we will talk about condition variables. Before we talk about condition variable, let us talk about a scenario where we have two threads, thread 1 and thread 2, and thread 1 should perform some task only after thread 2 has finished some other task. And how can we implement this? One way would be to use a shared variable, let's say x, and as long as x is equal to 0, thread 1 will be executing this while loop. So the while loop again don't have a body, so as long as x is 0, thread 1 will be blocked. It will do a busy wait here, it will not be blocked, but it will continuously execute this while loop as long as x is 0. And thread 2, it does some computation, and after that computation is finished, it will set x to 1. Now once thread 2 sets x to 1, thread 1 will exit the while loop and perform the next computation. This will solve the problem that we were discussing, but however this is not a good solution. It's not a good solution because thread 1 is doing, when x is equal to 0, thread 1 is doing a busy wait here. So thread 1 is utilizing some of the CPU time to execute this while loop, and that is wastage of the CPU time, and it's better to avoid such busy waits. So if we don't want busy wait, then what other solutions do we have? So we can put thread 1 to sleep, and once we can put thread 1 to sleep, and when thread 2 completes its work, it will wake up thread 1. So that's one possible way to solve this problem. So we will put thread 1 to sleep, and once thread 2 completes its task, it will wake up thread 1. It will work for some situations like as shown in this diagram. So in this diagram we are showing time using this arrow. So time progresses along this arrow, and what's happening here is at time t1, thread 1 goes to sleep. Then after some time at time t2, thread 2 finish its computation and then wake up thread 1. And once thread 2 wakes up thread 1 at some time t3, thread 1 will wake up. But now what will happen if thread 2 already finished its computation and waked up thread 1, already sent a wake up signal to thread 1 at time t1, and only after that thread 2 goes to sleep. So in the earlier case, thread 1 goes to sleep first, and then thread 2 tries to wake up, so no problem in this case. But in the second case, thread 1 is going to sleep after thread 1 has already finished the computation. In this case, thread 1 will never be able to wake up because the next wake up signal will never come, because thread 2 had already sent the signal, wake up signal. So then to solve this problem, we may think that we will use a condition variable. Sorry, we may think that we will use some variable which thread 1 can check. So we say that we will have a shared variable, and thread 1 will go to sleep only if the shared variable is not set. But even this will not solve the problem. Why? Because let's say thread 1 checks the variable is not set, so it decides to go to sleep. So the instruction to check the variable is executed at time t1, and thread 1 goes to sleep at time t3. But since the two threads, we have two concurrent threads, it may happen that between time t1 and t3, t2 finishes its computation and sends the wake up signal. So we are again at the same problem as before, where thread 1 goes to sleep after thread 2 has already sent the wake up signal. So using a variable and then deciding to go to sleep or not will not work. And to solve all this problem, actually we use something called condition variable. So condition variables has two parts, a condition and a semaphore, and four types of operations are possible on a condition variable. One is the initialization function, the other one is the wait function. The wait function is used to wait for the condition to become true, and there is a clear function using which we can set the condition as false, and there is a post function using which we can set the condition as true along with waking up any threads that were waiting on that condition variable. And in pthread, these are the primitives and the data types that we have. So we need to create a variable, condition variable, and condition variable is of the type cond underscore t, and then we have these primitives, cond underscore init to initialize the condition variable, cond underscore broadcast, this is used to wake up all the threads that are waiting on the condition variable. And similar to cond underscore broadcast, we have cond underscore signal. So the difference between these two is cond underscore signal wakes up only one among all the waiting threads. So there may be many threads waiting on the condition variable, but we will wake up only one, and which one will wake up is selected in random. The function cond underscore wait, it will put a thread to wait state on this condition variable. But before we call the wait function, we should check some condition is false or not, and only if the condition is false, then only we should call the cond underscore wait function. And to ensure that between the checking of the condition and calling of this cond function, a post that does not come, for that we need to use a mutex variable. So the mutex variable will ensure that a situation like this do not happen. And similarly to cond underscore wait, we have a cond underscore timed wait. So the difference between these two functions is in the case of cond underscore timed wait, the thread will wait maximum time amount of time, and if the condition variable do not get set within that time, the thread will get unblocked even if the condition variable is not set. And finally we have a destroy function. Let us understand these primitives through an example. I hope that will make it a little bit more clear. So here we have some code we have two threads, thread 1 and thread 2, and thread 1 is waiting on the condition variable. So the condition and thread 2 signals on the condition variable, and C flag is the condition on which thread 1 waits. So thread 1 will wait only if C flag is equal to 0. If C flag is not equal to 0, thread 1 will not wait. CV is the condition variable and your lock is your mutex. So now if the C flag is 0, then thread 1 goes to the wait state by calling this function pthread underscore cond underscore wait. So this call will block thread 1. Thread 1 will go to a sleep state. Since thread 1 is in a sleep state, it will wake up only when thread 2 posts a signal on the condition variable. But before sending the signal on the condition variable, thread 2 will set the flag to 1. But now before thread 1 checks the C flag, before checking whether C flag is equal to 0 or not, thread 1 acquires the lock on the mutex, and this acquiring, since thread 1 acquires this lock, it ensures that between the checking of the C flag and then invoking the condition wait, between these two instructions a post cannot happen, because if a post comes before the wait, then thread 1 will go to sleep and it will never be able to wake up. So we need to prevent a post to come between the if statement and the condition wait statement. The post should not come between these two instructions, and hence to prevent it we acquire the lock. But now by calling the condition wait function, thread 1 will go to a blocked state, and if thread 1 goes to blocked state with the lock acquired, then thread 2 will never be able to acquire the lock, and hence thread 2 will never be able to signal. So this can become a problem. So here thread 2 is trying to acquire the lock, and now if thread 1 acquires the lock is owned by thread 1, and now if thread 1 goes to block state, so the lock is already acquired by thread 1 and it's not released, and now if thread 2 tries to acquire the lock, it will never be able to acquire the lock, and hence it will never be able to post a signal. So this can become a problem. So what actually happens is, internally this function pthread underscore cond underscore wait, this function makes it sure that when thread 1 calls this function, thread 1 should go to a block state. So what this function do is put thread 1 in a queue waiting for the condition variable CV, and then it releases the lock. So actually thread 1 do not go to the sleep state with the lock acquired. This function makes it sure to release the lock, and since the lock is released and it's now available for thread 2 to acquire it, so thread 2 will be able to acquire the lock, and hence will be able to send the signal. Now once the signal is sent, thread 1 may get unblocked, and if thread 1 gets unblocked, then again this function before returning makes it sure that a lock is reacquired for thread 1. So if thread 1 gets unblocked, this function makes it sure that the lock will again be reacquired for thread 1. So when thread 1 starts executing, it actually will own the lock again, and hence it has to be unlocked by thread 1. And this is how condition variables are actually used. So I hope you have understood this concept. So that's all for today. If you have any questions, please post it through Piazza. Okay, thank you. Bye.